That's a really hot question for a lot of business customers today, and definitely the intuitive answer is yes, because what we see, especially in Asia, is business customers, whether they're from the private sector or the public sector, are really starting to think about how do they mobile enable their knowledge workers today and their employees today. In the private sector, specifically in industries like the financial, securities and insurance industries, we've seen a lot of business customers thinking about how do they leverage mobility to do more of the CRM type of application for their sales force to better respond to customers' needs. How do they also enable some of their maintenance staff to leverage mobility as well as the PDA devices to do better customer service response time for some of the maintenance work that they do. On the other side, in the government sector, interestingly, we're also seeing a lot of interest by government customers on switching on mobility from some of their traditional infrastructure and applications. So for example, in Singapore, as you probably know, with the launch of the Intelligent Nation 2015 master plan by the government, there's a large emphasis around how do we mobile enable some of the e-citizen services that's already existing today, but to actually achieve better response time to citizens who need information from government sectors like the transport department or even some of the income tax department. And also, how do we then also educate the citizens around mobility, using that to get information from some of the service providers like the mobile operators as well as some of the advertisers within the Singapore market. So definitely mobility is top of mind for the business segment, and I think most customers are really thinking that if they don't jump on the mobility bandwagon, they're going to lose out quite a bit in terms of the competitiveness. Let me give you some examples. For a company who is thinking about going mobile, what are some of the key things they need to start blueprinting on their IT footprint? So for example, traditionally, one of the things we would encourage customers to think about is what exactly are the applications today that traditionally you don't have on mobility, but you want to turn on into a mobile platform that would really translate into higher productivity gains as well as efficiencies for you. That's the key thing. What applications? The second thing is, what approach do you do that? Do you build your own? Do you buy? Or do you subscribe to a service that is already existing by some of our partners, such as the operators or the independent software vendors? The third thing is total cost of ownership. So eventually, any application that a company thinks about deploying on a large scale within an organization needs to be sustainable, needs to be scalable. So total cost of ownership becomes extremely important. Now, in addition to that, I would also encourage you to think from a perspective of standards and procurement methods. What do I mean by standards? I think traditionally in the PC and desktop space, customers basically have a standard protocol within their environment to think about what are the standard models or the standard specs of hardware that they want to deploy. Similarly, as you progress into a mobility deployment corporate-wide, I would encourage you to think about what are the one or two models you want to think about standardizing. And the reason for that is because when it comes to manageability of the devices, with similar models, it gets easier in terms of device management. The second thing to think about is refresh cycle. Whenever you want to look at scaling out your deployment or upgrading some of the devices, then when you have one or two models, that also ease some of that upgrade process for you. The third thing really to think about then is if you are in, for example, industries like the financial industry or even government industries, security policies are extremely important. So how do you then push down some of the policies so that your end users behave the way that you want them to behave? So one of the things I would also encourage you to think about is what is then the device management strategy that you should fit in place as you scale out some of the mobility deployment. In Asia, definitely the trend of mobility is definitely rising very fast, in fact, and we're definitely confident that this is indeed a growth area for customers to watch out for. Thank you.